I'm going to talk about chocolate, dogs, and cats. Imagine the situation that there is an argument in social media between two persons and two people, sorry, and they were arguing about like if chocolate is good or bad for dogs and cats. And one said that, I always give them chocolate and nothing happened, and I have my dogs there and they're 14 years old, and then nothing's happened. And the other said, no, I just one day I give them chocolate and they have diarrhea. Then we have here like two points of view about one situation. This kind of situation or this kind of affirmation are like testimonials, and testimonials in some way function for certain kind of situation. Like for example, there is like evidence for a perception, but not necessarily evidence for reality. And in science, there is not a good idea to use anecdotes or testimonial to use them like evidence. This is because most of the time the anecdotes and testimonials go for certain kind of errors. These kind of errors are like, for example, confirmation bias or some kind of fallacy like causation doesn't mean, like when you assume that something, you give something, but that not necessarily means that that things cause the other thing, and then you assume that correlation. That means causation, don't mean correlation, or correlation don't mean causation. But what's happening with chocolate? How we are going to know if chocolate is dangerous or not? It's not a good idea just to take some dogs and just give them chocolate. It's not it's a cruel experiment to see if dogs are good, there is bad for them or not. In this case, we need to find other kind of sources. Like for example, there are like institutions to receive like this kind of problem. For example, in UK, the Veterinary Poison Information Services, they receive 9,000 calls related with problems related with dogs and cats who eat chocolate, and 2% of those animals die every year. And in USA, the Animal Poison Control Center, they receive 39 calls every day for the same situation, like dogs and cats who eat chocolate and they have problems. But what's the problem with chocolate? Chocolate has like one chemical, and this chemical is theobromine. Theobromine is pretty much like caffeine, and for us like humans, we need like 3 to 4 hours to metabolize the chocolate. But for dogs and cats, they need 6 to 8 hours to metabolize the same chemical. What does it mean is like this toxicity, and they go directly to the liver, and they have more problems to metabolize that. And sometimes they take 72 hours, and in some conditions they're gonna die. In toxicity, there is like one phrase to explain this kind of poison. It's like the dose makes the poison. The dose in this case is the chocolate, and the poison is the theobromine, the chemical. And in this situation, we're like working with 3 variables. These 3 variables is like the kind of chocolate. For example, it's not the same thing, the dark chocolate than the white chocolate, because the dark chocolate contains more theobromine than the white chocolate. This is the first variable. Then the next variable is like the quantity of chocolate that we are going to give to the dog. And the third variable is the size of the dog or the cat. It's not the same thing a Chihuahua than a Doberman. Then what does it mean? At the end, it's like we have 3 variables, and it's very difficult to calculate how much chocolate we can give them to a dog or to a cat to be safe, that they're not going to have a problem later on the liver, or they're going to die, or they're going to have just a simple diarrhea. In this case, like the main NGOs about welfare to take care about animals in general, like SPCA, like RSPCA, PETA, and Humane Society, they just recommend that it's simple. They just the best idea is dogs and cats, they don't need chocolate, and just to be safe is just don't give them.